I think foreign companies, when they are actually investing into India, largely uh, the significant idea behind that is to do with the abundance of resources, which what I really mean is the population we have and skilled population we have. Having said that, I think the majority of the market has actually kind of significantly grown. So from a perspective of if you're being able to really solve a customer problem and is resonating in terms of relevance and timeliness, I think it does allow for it to really work in the Indian scenario. Having said that, how you kind of actually can go about it, I would say it needs a certain amount of pre-preparedness in terms of that when you're coming into an Indian market, do you understand your own market share? Do you understand things like who is your target consumer persona? Who are who are the kind of people as well as markets who are going to potentially be your first anchor adopters, or could be in terms of price sensitivity, your business model, because there is a certain requirement of customization in terms of business model, having understood the business dynamics of India as a market. Also is the legal and the regulatory environment. It works differently, and hence I think foreign companies would need to be very thorough in terms of how they would want to kind of go about it. One being is localize your product to kind of get to the customer's needs. That becomes a mainstay in terms of adoption and preference. The second is, of course, remember the price sensitivity, which largely means that can you customize your pricing of the product into a short term and a long term, or bundle it up in differently for the Indian market. Because also adoption of technology has been a bit more nascent in India. So for some customers and some product line, it can become a lot more longer gestation for adoption vis-a-vis a quick turnaround. The fourth one is that if somebody is looking at coming and making it successful in the Indian market, you need to have a long-term plan. It cannot be a quick turnaround of adoption, or even in terms of brand awareness, because it's a very large market. So in order to penetrate to that level of customer base, it would take time. And the fourth one is in terms of navigating through the legal and the regulatory norms, because though it's centralized, but a lot of thing also is decentralized in terms of states. So hence, from that perspective, which product or service is actually penetrating to which market, again, then also customizes your regulatory norms. And the fifth is, if need be, find your correct local partner. And that could be in various forms. It would be from a perspective of just having your sales engine being put here, or it could be in terms of your logistical help, or someone who is getting you the exclusivity to kind of penetrate and give you the right guidance for your product or service. So largely that's how it functions. From a media coverage point of view, it's an outcome of your action. So if you are, as I said earlier, if you're understanding the trends of the market are heading towards your product and your service alignment, or your consumer behavior, or having a deep-rooted understanding of the stakeholders you're going to be tapping in India, it definitely works as a positive sentiment and a positive response from the media as well. Traditionally, I would have definitely said that you do need a local infrastructure, you need local spokesperson, and you need an Indian face to kind of project the credibility and the foundation of your company. But definitely have observed that there's a certain transition, and largely also could be a factor of the startup ecosystem, which has kind of have a different way of working, which has changed the norm of, you know, rather than becoming local in terms of face, it's more in terms of localized in terms of what's the need of the customer. So from that perspective, right now, in the last 2 years, I feel it has really changed the perspectives. So not necessarily, but I would add to it that from a functionality perspective, it does help because we are working with the media who need on real-time responses. So with the time difference and being able to kind of cater to those needs, as fast as you can, functionally it becomes challenging. Conceptually, it's not a problem. From an English approach perspective, I find the urban cities and largely even the suburban cities, sub-metros is what we call in India, they are quite equipped to having an all English approach. But having said that, it all depends on the product or service. If it's mass market, please do think about localization in terms of language. But if it's niche and B2B, you can definitely do with an all English approach. From an obstacles, there are not many, to be honest. I think it's the regulatory norms which needs to be understood before you actually are kind of launching into the market. But I think the common mistakes which the companies tend to make is that a lot of companies come with an do not come with an understanding of ground realities, but they come with a perception of opportunities. And I think that's a common problem we have noticed. I think the second is unable to kind of balance share of voice and wallet. What I mean to say that sales and marketing needs to be a hand in hand and an integrated approach now. What we tend to kind of get is that how one as in marketing could help in sales and sales could vis-a-vis help in marketing, rather it is extremely at the same level. So hence, from an investment and focus point of view, both need to be kept in mind at the same time. And the third, I feel, is more to do with corporate culture. Of course, the conditioning is different, and hospitality and our team members are considered like extended families. So it's the approach of work at times could be different for someone coming from outside India. But we've also had this wonderful exchange of cultures which has happened through this very exercise, and I'm seeing that that's reducing significantly. So I would say the common mistakes are the above three, as I mentioned.